so we can rough stuff up. Capture sword priority, blah blah blah. So the other thing that might be a thing with the reflections here is, since we're running a development build, we may not be seeing the true performance of the game. Hello, Johnny Reed. How are you doing today? I'm looking really nice. No, this looks awful. What are you talking about? I'm at the moment, I'm basically we're kind of switching gears with our development at the moment. I've been working on a lot of abilities and like the stuff like running and jumping and crawling and that sort of stuff. And switching over to, I'm trying to get some visuals. I'm basically, Adam's been working on visuals, and now we're both gonna kind of work on visuals, try to bring some engineering stuff in there. So I'm trying to create this piece of concept art basically inside of the engine and kind of see, and then we'll see what we can do with the assets. Like once I get something that kind of looks similar, then we can try playing around with shaders and materials and post-processing effects and see what we can do. Did he rework the artworks? No, it's more of we were talking, and it seems like we need a lot more engineering help on the editor side, getting a lot of technical systems up and running, and that's more important than getting Bitey running around exactly perfectly at the moment. It's more important that we nail the visuals, because kind of how game development works is you got to iterate, and we haven't gotten to kind of our visual target yet, and it's not really a good idea to go further down the rabbit hole of making the game stuff before we do all the rest. Alright, so if those are reflections, like what can we do? Like they're reflecting, and they're reflecting all the things that we want. Like it's probably the way it's applied to the water that's incorrect or something. But let's play more with the reflection. Oh, interesting. There we go. If we put that to 0, it's like a perfect reflection. Which is exactly what I want. Because then I want the material to mess with that. Like the actual water can change that reflection like we want. Alright. It's just blurring instead of distorting. Yeah, it's true. Like you can see the distortion strength, you set that to 1000. It's like the make it look bad button. We can make it look really awful. Cast shadows must not be clicked on this thing. Alright, well, we'll build some of this stuff. Alright, so if that's reflections, I don't like how this is all jaggy. Well, we'll have distortions on. So a lot of the reflection looks pretty good, but yeah, there's another thing there. Look, his shadow is not reflected. So like this shadow right here is not, he's not getting rendered in shadow, he's just being rendered. Alright, well, let's just call that good, and let's start working on something else. Let's start working on the God Rays. Alright, so the directional light has a light shaft category in its properties. Below is a reference for those properties. Alright, so we do have a reflection. Do have a directional light. Alright, so light shaft occlusion controls how dark the occlusion masking is. Value 1 results in no darkening, while values greater than 1 can be used. Alright, well, let's build it and see. So we can enable light shaft occlusion, whether to occlude fog and atmosphere. Occlusion mask. How come the directional light freaking disappears when I click on... Like, where the fuck did it go? And why isn't it showing me like a little... Why isn't it showing me a little light vector thing on it? Ugh. Well, I don't want to hide these things, I just want to not select them. That is insane. Why is that not getting lit? Because it's not angled up? Jeez, those things are touchy. Obviously, there we go. That's all we need. But that is the effect that we're kind of going for, is the middle of this should be super reflective, so we're getting closer to kind of what we need to do. So what exactly is causing all this? So you can see a little bit coming through there. Jesus Christ. Fucking laser beam. So what I think, I'm not sure exactly how to... I'm not sure exactly how to control the amount of bloom normally. How do you even change the bloom on this stuff? So, where is it? Is it do any of these sliders do any of this stuff? I mean, this is shadows, this is the light intensity. There's lighting channels? No. I mean, these are all like shadow settings, and like the light shaft bloom, like those are the light shafts. We want those, but what I don't want is this craziness in the water. Alright, well, let's build the lighting, and I need to pull up like documentation on this or something to figure out like why the bloom is just ridiculous for the water. Does it have something to do with the actual reflection, or what? Yeah, if I turn off the water, so it's definitely the water reflection. Yeah, it's definitely some setting on the water. And what is this object? This is a static object? I only set it to movable so we can see this during real time. Well, it's more, I'm not sure how to Like, we don't need casting shadows on this thing, but this boosted ridiculous reflection stuff, I'm not sure where it comes from. And I'm not sure if it's updating with the settings that I'm throwing on there, so I have to like go build it again to see if there's something else going on. I wonder. And this may be the bloom settings on the light itself, and not something that the water has anything to really do with, but the water is just the object that is causing it. Yeah, it's probably the directional light which is doing this. That's cool, you can change the tint of the god rays. You can even override the direction of them. Alright. Let's see. Bloom, lighting, Unreal. So only throughout bloom is real-world light phenomena that greatly add to perceived realism. Bloom can be seen with the naked eye when looking at very bright objects. The effect not always be physically correct, but to help hint the relative brightness of an object, that's what we do. It can be implemented with a single Gaussian blur, but combine multiple blurs for better performance. Alright, it's a post-process effect. To enable bloom, navigate to the lens section of the post-process volume. Alright, so it's post-processing effects. Well, let's see what we've got. Materials, culling, textures, reflections, forward rendering. Use normal maps for static lighting, generate mesh distance fields. I don't see any lighting settings. Post-processing, there's custom depth stencil pass, translucency. Alright, so there's default settings. There's bloom, ambient occlusion. So if we build the lighting without bloom, does that do anything? I wish I knew what the hell I was doing. But then that wouldn't be any fun, right? Alright, well the bloom is gone. With some of this, right? Like, we used to have this big... So the bloom's actually making it look correct. The issue is the light on the surface is what it looks like. Nah, it's not looking correct. It's really the water is having some serious issues. So I wonder if there's something I can do with the water shading. That's a lens flare right on that. Looks so bad. There was a lens flare and motion blur. And that's just all bloom. God. Well, what's this light at? Does the water have any transparency? That's just reflections. So I think it's this water that's causing all of our problems. It's got like some ridiculous material that's causing a whole bunch of problems. So let's see, what is it actually doing? Default lit, shading model. I mean, it's blue, but what is it coming from? It's got to have something else for this material to have this texture in here. This is a material, this is a surface. It's opaque. Default lit. Two-sided, use material attributes, subsurface profile. I don't understand. Look, I get it, that's what it's supposed to do, but Hello, Howtech Productions. I am struggling with lighting in Unreal. I really don't know what I'm doing too much, or really at all, but really what I'm trying to figure out is how to get these God rays on a directional light working properly, and then how to not have it have this absolutely insane sort of bloom here. Like, the rays look close to what I want, but the bloom behind it is just stupid. So I'm trying to figure that out, and it's slow progress. So this is the material, which is Water Surface 1. It's opaque, normal color roughness, it's default lit. Well, if it's unlit, it's just black. Hmm. I mean, if this is our preview image, if we make it black, it's just... I don't understand. There's something else going on here. Well, I crashed the editor. Good job. Good job, me. Alright, this is a child material, isn't it? And that's what's going on, and I'm being hidden from something. Well, I mean, there's another thing happening. Because there's no reason that I don't see anything in this material that says that it should be this color or anything like this. Like, it's... Like, it's just supposed to be blue, right? So how is it not blue? How is it this other material? Wow, this looks totally messed up. I don't know what was going on there. I guess the shader wasn't running or compiling or something. So this is what the lake water looks like. So yeah, I think it's the material that I'm looking at doesn't have all the stuff in it that I need to see. This material is an instance of some other material. So how do I figure out where the parent is? Because if I just go to like make my own material, I just make a new material We'll call this, test water. And we'll pop it open, and basically I can just copy these things. Alright, so I guess it is just a default material, and somehow it's got this stuff on it. Alright, let's see. So what do we have with our other materials? Like, Dashkin opaque object is just a texture sample for a base color and all that. I'll be right back. Need to go fill up my water bottle. Alright. Alright, so what's happening here is the roughness of the surface is determining how much reflection is being applied to it. So this roughness constant, if this is set to something small, like because the roughness is 0 on this thing, it means something. So I need to look up. Need to look this up. So yeah, see, roughness is like that. So this is like totally opaque, not opaque, and roughness is basically shininess. Something perfectly shiny will reflect everything. Yeah, a rough material will scatter reflected light in more directions than a smooth material. This can be seen how blurry or sharp the reflection is. Roughness is a property that will be frequently mapped to your objects in order to add variation. This looks cool.